This album is my fourth album. It's called Moments of Time. It's very different from my previous albums because I've recorded the whole thing on piano, solo piano. In fact, piano is my first instrument, and on my other albums I've featured other instruments that I play, such as the harp and accordion and singing a bit. Wordsworth said, "At this moment, when many of these landscapes are floating before my mind, I feel a high enjoyment in reflecting that perhaps scarce a day of my life will pass in which I shall not derive happiness from these images." He termed such experiences in nature spots of time. He also said, "There are in our existence spots of time that with distinct preeminence retain a renovating virtue that penetrates, enables us to mount when high, more high, and lifts us up when fallen." That was actually the inspiration for the album, Moments of Time. And there's also a beautiful quote by Paul Cézanne, which I'd like to read, which captures the essence of the whole album. He said, "Right now, a moment of time is fleeting by. Capture its reality in paint. To do that, we must pull all else out of our minds. We must become that moment, make ourselves a sensitive recording plate, give the image of what we actually see, forgetting everything that has been seen before our time." And it's all linking together really with the music and the quotes and the paintings that I've done as well. On the day of the recording, I actually meditated quite a lot to get into a sort of certain space of mind where I was very, very relaxed, and I managed to record the whole album in one take, and then did a few re-recordings of some of the other tracks that weren't so good. But I really wanted to keep this album very organic and natural, and that was why I didn't want to edit any of the recordings, because the whole idea of the album was to be in the moment, or really in the time, so that time doesn't actually exist after all. So that's the main theme of the album, Moments of Time. And every track is almost like a snippet of time, or no time. The inspiration behind Ratquick Bay was by actually going to the island of Orkney when I was touring in 2003 with an African kora player, African harp player, Bajali Suso. And one of the beautiful places that we did visit on the tour was Ratquick Bay, and it's the island of Hoy. And if you haven't been there, you must go there. It's absolutely beautiful. The stones are so smooth and curvilinear with the sea spray, and there's a beautiful croft there as well, and the landscape is absolutely stunning. And that inspired me to write the composition Ratquick Bay. And the first motif is very, very simple throughout the whole composition, and tries to conjure up the sort of feeling of waves coming in and out. I'd like to dedicate this album to the amazing, amazing musician, composer, and fantastically beautiful person, Ronald Stevenson. And in fact, there's a composition on the album called A Tune for Ronald, which was written for him. And in my earlier days, when I was about 15 or 16, which is not that long ago, about 10 years ago, I was taught by Ronald, and it was very interesting because the lessons weren't only tapered towards music, but he also introduced me to history, to poetry, to art, literature, lots of different things about life. And that's why he's still, to this day, the biggest inspiration for me as a being, not only as a musician and composer. So I'd like to dedicate this to Ronald.